last lecture, acha, which are the elements of the DFDs? Which are the elements of the DFD? शुरू कहाँ से होता है? From where it starts? Which are the elements of DFD? We start, see, logically, we start with the entity. Entity interacts with the process. Okay, and process may interact with the entity. मगर communication कैसे होता है? Communication is through message flows. So we have an entity, there is a message flow to process, then process may give message flow to the data store, or again it may give to entity. Okay, so many rules we have seen that can a particular data store may communicate with another data store? Is it possible? Data store to data store connectivity possible है या नहीं है? Data store to data store? No, data store to data store is not possible. Okay, entity to entity is possible. Entity to entity is also not possible. So entity to process, process to entity, entity to process, process to data store, data store to process, process to data store, ऐसे possible है. So always one thing we need to make it sure that the communication between the entity, I mean between the entity and the data store is directly not possible. Data store and entity को connection के लिए we need to have a process. Okay, so let me share the screen. Let me go ahead. This is very important as far as DFDs are considered. The explanation of DFDs are considered. Okay, so here we are. We studied about all these symbols. कल देखा हमने DFD is known as a black box. ये भी हमने देखा. These are the correct ways, okay, to draw a process. These are the incorrect ways to draw a process, where we had the problem of gray hole, black hole, and spontaneous generation, where we have seen about the correct ways of interaction between the process, data store, and another process. Incorrect ways of implementation of processes and data store. There is no input in the process till it is giving output to the daily payments. Not possible. अच्छा ऐसा हो सकता था that there will be an entity over here. Okay, there should be an entity over here. Entity give request to the process and process give request to the data store. That is possible. But from some input to the process is required. That's the reason that was incorrect. Similarly, if we talk about entity and process, so entity to process is possible, process to entity is possible, in and out of the same entity possible. Okay, then process, I mean entity to a process and process to entity, that is also possible. Okay, entity to entity, not possible. I mean actor to actor, not possible. Okay, entity to directly to the data store, not possible, as you said. Data store to entity, not possible. Okay, so we have seen this particular chart where it says that what is possible and what is not possible. Okay, now try to understand. You need to remember this thing. The first step to create a DFD is to draw the context level diagram. The first step is to draw a context level diagram. Okay, now what do you mean by this context level diagram? Okay, see, in context level diagram, it is more or less like a use case. In context level diagram, we feel it's more or less like a use case. Okay, what do you mean by use case? Use case, if you remember, we were discussing only the higher level objectives. Okay, higher level functionalities, not what is happening inside the functionality. So we can relate use case with the DFD. That is possible. We can relate use case and DFD together. That is possible. In DFD also, we are not showing in the context level diagram. Okay, context level diagram. Try to understand. Here it's written the context level diagram. Now, context level diagram and zero level diagram both are almost the same. Okay, but what is different? That is given over here. Look over here. The context level diagram, we are having the system areas and the scope. Okay, so system boundaries and purely the scope. The context level diagram here it is being shown. What is not available over here? कौन सा particular DFD का element यहाँ पे नहीं है? Which element is not there? Which particular DFD element is not there in this context level diagram? Can anyone tell me? गुड आफ्टरनून एवरीवन अगेन. अगर जो लोग सो रहे हैं थोड़ा जाग जाए. ओके, ट्राई टू नॉट अवेलेबल ओवर हियर. कैन एनीवन टेल मी which particular data store? Yes, data store is not available. तो इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट लेवल डायग्राम मैंने कल भी बोला था, आज फिर से बोलूंगा. ओके, दैट इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट लेवल डायग्राम, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल in DFD you need to draw, the first thing is that you need to draw context level diagram. Okay, context level diagram. In context level diagram you need to make it sure you will contain only, it will contain only all the entities, all the entities. Okay, try to understand, ऐसा कोई entity नहीं होना चाहिए जो यहाँ पे नहीं है and in the higher level DFD diagram में अचानक से आ जाता है. So in context level diagram you need to show all the entities, main system, okay, and message flow. इतना ही बताना है आपको. Okay, but try to understand, and in message flow try to understand, you need to show only what data is sent, what data is sent from entity to the main system and main system to the entity. Okay, what data is sent. Okay, if you remember when we were discussing about use case, we used to say that we should not write down data, you need to write down verb. Case का मतलब क्या होता है? What do you mean by a case? Case means a verb. Okay, try to understand, here verbs are not used. Here what should be used? We need to use only what data is being sent. So suppose login is a process. Suppose if you consider login is a process. Okay, look over here. If I say DFD for login and registration. Okay, look over here. Okay, so if, no, this is wrong. इंटरनेट पे हर कुछ जो मिलता है वो करेक्ट नहीं होता. नॉट नेसेसरी, इट इज करेक्ट. ओके, सो the previous one was better, I suppose. Yes, if we consider this particular DFD, okay, if we consider, see, this is the context level diagram. Okay, zero level diagram, context level diagram. We have a subject registration system, we have a student. Okay, so student sends login details. So login system नहीं लिखना है आपको. You need to write down student is sending what data? Login details. As well as student is sending the registration subject details. So subject details. And student is getting the acknowledgement. So you need to show what data is being sent. You should not be showing what is happening. Okay, need to show what data is required. Okay, even we can show that user ID and password. Possible. Student sends user ID and password. Okay, that is given for the purpose of login and so on. Now, if we look over here, see, now this is expanded, login is expanded. So this is a context level diagram. Now in diagram 0, this is the 0th level. Okay, then they are expanding. Okay, now here you can consider this, the validating the student. validating the register, selecting the subject, selecting the registering the subject and displayed the subject to the student. So student यहाँ पे 2 बार आया, student यहाँ पे 2 बार आया. Actually, whenever you are now, there can be a question: can we repeat the same entity 2 times? Yes, it is possible. If you are repeating the same entity 2 times, actually you need to use this sign. Guys, यहाँ पे देखो. You need to use a slash sign over here. यहाँ से ना, for an example, suppose ये student है. Can I draw a rectangle box? Can I draw a rectangle box? Uh, box is there. Can I draw a rectangle box? Form. No, I don't have the option over here. But try to understand. Suppose मैं ना text box ही ले लेता हूँ. Suppose this is a box, okay, and this is basically the student. Okay, if I say this is a student, this is a student entity. Again, suppose काफी बार ऐसा होता है. Now you can have a question कि सर student entity वापस क्यों use करना है? Now the system is becoming much more complex, so I want to again use the student entity. मुझे again use करना है. Okay, so repeating a particular entity or a data store doesn't make any difference. But अगर yes, process should not be repeated. Process repeat नहीं करना है. Process is going to remain same. Entities can be repeated depending upon requirements. Data stores can be repeated, but you need to use this particular sign. Guys, ऐसा sign आपको use करना है. Okay, this means that it is repeated. This means that it is repeated. Okay, so whenever you are learning DFD, whenever you are looking onto any particular DFD, so you know अगर student repeat हो रहा है, okay, suppose ये student ये वाला repeat हो रहा है, तो I'll draw a line like this. This means it is repeated. अच्छा, अगर data store कहीं पे repeat हो रहा है, let's say data store is getting repeated. Where is data store? This is getting repeated. Then I'll draw a line over here like this. Okay, so repetition वैसे handle कर सकते हैं, right? So you can look over here. All the conditions are followed. This is an entity. This is the process. For login, for validating, we need the student file or the student table. The data will be also fetched to validate the particular student. Department table में से भी select subject के लिए data जाएगा. Okay, so this is the whole formation of validating the student and getting the subject registered. So again, there will be a question in your mind कि सर शुरू कहाँ से करना है, एंड कहाँ पे करना है. This is complex. Okay, शुरू कहाँ से करना है, एंड कहाँ से करना है. Okay, now this is again, this was about a student and validation and the subject allocation. This is about a lecture and the registration system. So lecture and the subject combination. Right. So try and understand. I'll switch back to the discussion content. So first of all, you need to draw the context level. Then you need to draw the, so context level draw हो गया. In the context level entities नहीं होंगी, इतना fix हो गया. Main so whenever we are drawing a context level, at that time we need to make one thing sure कि बीच में system का नाम होगा. Here there will be the name of the system. Okay, entities will be there. What entity is doing what, submitting what, that should be decided in this particular data flow. That should be provided in the particular data flow. What is going into the system and what is coming out of the system, that is main. Okay, so for an example, if we talk about this particular thing, ये कल भी हमने देखा था. Okay, somebody said you need to start with student and somebody said you need to start with instructor. So things were getting complex, right? So here we know we can start with instructor if you want. Instructor submits the, assigns the assignment. The assignment is being given to the student. Student submits the work. Okay, and though that work is being given to the instructor, instructor grades the particular student, and that final grade is student in the record. It is recorded in the student recording system. Now entity can also be a system. Actor can also be a system, possible, right? So you're having a class roster over here, it goes into the grading system, and then it gives you the output. So the fundamental behind the DFD is very simple. Context level DFD, who are the entities, what entity gives into the system, main system, आपके system का नाम, okay, and that particular output is given to which particular entity, क्या कौन input करेगा, किसको क्या use होगा. Okay, complex to understand, but this is a very old approach, and still certain companies are using this particular approach to make the people understand about what to implement. Okay, people are using it. तो टेल मी कॉन्टेक्स्ट लेवल डीएफडी सबको क्लियर है या ज्यादा एग्जांपल्स देखने हैं आपको? कॉन्टेक्स्ट लेवल क्लियर है सबको? कॉन्टेक्स्ट
एक
लेवल
और
क्लियर? अक्षर ने क्या बोला, ज्यादा एग्जांपल्स चाहिए या क्लियर है?
एक और एग्जांपल दिखाओ।
और एग्जांपल चाहिए, ओके, एक एग्जांपल लेते हैं. चलिए, लेट अस गो अहेड विथ कॉन्टेक्स्ट लेवल डीएफडी. ओके, नाउ अब थोड़ा यॉर्डन के टर्म्स में एग्जांपल लेते हैं. ओके, यॉर्डन के टर्म्स में एग्जांपल लेते हैं. ओके, सो लेट मी चेक फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ये सही है या नहीं. ये यॉर्डन अप्रोच है. ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड द एक्सटर्नल एंटिटी इज रिप्रेजेंटेड इन टर्म्स ऑफ अ रेक्टेंगुलर बॉक्स. Circle is the process and message flow remains the same. Okay, so this is an example. This is the context level DFD example of hotel reservation system. Okay, so if you are planning to reserve a particular hotel, okay, F11, yes. What will be the entities? Okay, so entities can be considered in terms of some general entities like guests. There will be scheduling entities. There can be reservation systems. There can be banks for making the payment. There can be rooms. There can be bookings. There can be guests. Again, okay, so here you can see that these are the data stores. These are the data stores, and these are the entities. Okay, ऊपर जो yellow में है, all those are entities, and these are the data stores over here. Booking, guest, booking, and rooms are the entities. So we can have guest who gives the booking request, and that booking request is searched in the booking details. बुकिंग डिटेल्स विल बी फेच्ड, यहाँ पे एक्चुअली बाइडायरेक्शनल एरो आना चाहिए. बुकिंग डिटेल्स विल बी फेच्ड फ्रॉम द बुकिंग टेबल गिवन इनटू द सिस्टम, ओके, एंड विल गिव टू द गेस्ट. गेस्ट कैन गिव द टाइमिंग से मिलेगा, टाइमिंग शेड्यूलर विल बी फेच्ड. Okay, once guest gives the confirmation, then it will be making a confirmation with the external reservation system. अभी external reservation system किसके लिए होता है? It may be possible you are using third party services. Okay, now payment has to be implemented. This will be implemented by the bank. Payment request जाएगा, payment validation होगा. You are doing a booking, so booking has to be is for a particular room, so room details will be fetched. Okay, ये guest है, basically there are some guest details which will be stored over here. Okay, so basic system you need to understand. Basic system is all about that giving the request, what it get processed, किसको data मिलता है, कहाँ से data आता है, and your job is done. Okay, do I have any more examples? Yes, I do have an example of an ATM machine. Look over here. I do have an example of an ATM machine. Okay, the ATM machine is over here, the ATM system. Okay, you have a customer keyboard, you have a customer display. These are the two outputs. and there is a card reader component, there is a control system component, there is an account database. Now try to understand, they have highlighted the account database in a different way. They have highlighted the account database in a different way because that's a third party system. Okay, there is a printout dispenser, there is a cash dispenser. किसमें से क्या जाता है, किसको क्या मिलता है. Okay, so the customer enters commands and customer data. Guys, just hold it for a while. Just be there. Just be there. Yes. Thank you for waiting. Okay. So what we were discussing is that we were discussing about this thing, the ATM. Okay. So similarly, you have a library management system. See, look over here. Library management system. In library management system, again, you can consider now what wrong thing what they have done over here in this particular example, I suppose, is that they have considered the data stores also. यहाँ पे इन्होंने डेटा स्टोर भी कंसिडर किया. तो कॉन्टेक्स्ट लेवल डायग्राम में कभी भी डेटा स्टोर्स कंसिडर नहीं करते. Okay, now this I suppose is perfect for a library management system. You have a system in the center. Okay, now again they have considered the book database. The whole database, if you want you can consider it, but else you need to consider only the entities. Supplier it is an entity, management is an entity, staff is an entity, student is an entity. इन्होंने सब जगह पे ना database भी consider किया है. That you should not be considering. So an ordering management system, this is also good. This is an ordering management system. Can anyone tell me from where the order will start? Will start from the customer, manager, meal deliver, admin. कहाँ से स्टार्ट होगा ऑर्डर, कहाँ से स्टार्ट होगा? ऑर्डर कहाँ से
Customer.
स्टार्ट होगा? कस्टमर, यस. कैन एनीवन एक्सप्लेन मी द होल थिंग? पूरा पहले देख लो एंड लेट मी नो. कैन एनीवन एक्सप्लेन मी? रेडी टू गो? कौन करेगा एक्सप्लेन, बोलिए. Nobody wants to explain. कौन एक्सप्लेन करेगा सर? ऑनलाइन है, ऑफलाइन होता फिर भी आप हम कर सकते थे. See, it will start with the customer, I suppose. The customer is a new customer. The customer will place the order, but before placing the order, okay, now try to understand, guys. It's a new customer and the system is displaying the products. Okay, the moment customer places the order will be viewed by the manager, and at the same time, manager can create, edit, and delete the food categories what is available online. Now, apart from that, there is an admin who can also manage the ordering and all that stuff. Okay, is basically the front end is basically, see, manager के नीचे admin होता है. So admin will be responsible for managing the orders and all that stuff. Can view the manager, can update the status and so on. Okay, so order confirmation will be given to the customer. Once the order is ready, there will be a meal delivery partner who will be delivering the meals. Okay, think about it. If we are thinking about Zomato, okay, food online order काफी सारे लोगों ने किया है. Okay, who is Zomato? Zomato is an intermediary. It is connecting the people on one end to other people who are actually the hoteliers. I mean the restaurant people. Okay, you are actually placing a request on Zomato. Okay, now Zomato is getting connected to the restaurants. Restaurants approve it. Once the restaurant approve it, then and then only your order is fulfilled, else your money is returned back. Try to understand. So this is the process. What is happening? The same thing is being shown over here also. Okay, so things are good. If you want to if you want to go ahead with this thing, I can share the link. You can visit this particular link and you can at least study how the context level diagram basically works. Things are clear? अब बताइए, shall we go ahead with more, or it's sufficient, or we can go ahead with the next level, that is basically your drawing the zero level DFD. जीरो लेवल डीएफडी पे जाएं या ना जाएं, आप बताइए. शैल वी गो अहेड? कॉन्टेक्स्ट लेवल डीएफडी के तो बहुत सारे एग्जांपल्स देख लिए. Okay, now let us go to the zero level DFD. So try to understand, this was a context level. As we said, there were no data stores, main systems. Okay, now this is a context level DFD for an ordering system. Okay, here also they have given some example. This is a context level for ordering system. Okay, we have a bank, we have the accounting, we have the customer, we have the warehouse, we have the sales recipient, and so on, sales representative. Okay, now this is the context level DFD for manufacturing system. Try to understand, there's a very interesting example of a manufacturing system. See how many entities are there. Plenty, na? There are plenty entities. There are plenty entities that are given over here. Okay, we have a customer. Sorry, we have a customer, we have a supplier, we have the shipping department, we have the accounting department, we have the employee, we have the sales department, warehouse, payroll, finance, engineering, inventory control, account payable system, production management. All these are the entities of the system, that is manufacturing department. Okay, manufacturing department, context level. Who gives the input and who gets the output? The customer places an order and customer gets an acknowledgement. Okay, the company, where is the purchase department? Purchase department है यहाँ पे कहीं पे? Purchase department कुछ लिखा है यहाँ पे? Purchasing department जैसा कुछ है? Shopping employee, account payable, inventory control, बिल ऑफ मटेरियल्स. हाँ, प्रोडक्ट कॉस्टिंग डिपार्टमेंट है, पेरोल है, वेयर हाउस है, रिपोर्ट है. ओके, सो सी ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड वॉट एवर. इन्वेंट्री कंट्रोल का मतलब क्या है? इन्वेंट्री कंट्रोल मीन्स द कंट्रोलिंग दी स्टॉक्स. मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सिस्टम है तो कुछ मैन्युफैक्चर हो रहा होगा, कुछ बन रहा होगा. So all the stock and all that has to be managed. So whenever this inventory control department will give a system, okay, fine, this inventory is less, this particular raw material is less, it will issue a purchase order to the supplier. Supplier को purchase order जाएगा. Okay. Other than that, there are certain rules for drawing the DFD. Look over here. The name of the information system. This is very important. The name of the information system process is in the context diagram. System के बीच में context level diagram में you need to write the name of the system. It is must. Okay. Second important thing. Use unique name within each set of symbols. Whenever you are using any particular name, it should be unique. अगर रेप्लिका हो रहा है तो ये साइन आपको करना है, ये तो हमने डिस्कस कर लिया. ओके, दैट इज नंबर 3. Okay, and yes, number one also we need to keep into account that everything should be managed in one particular page. Everything should be managed in one particular page. Fifth one, provide unique name and reference number. Yes, यहाँ पे जीरो एक बार यूज किया, आगे जाके फिर से आप जीरो यूज नहीं कर सकते. Okay, and obtain user input and feedback. If something is going inside, you should get something output. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि ब्लैक होल या ग्रे होल क्रिएट हो रहा हो. Okay. These people have again started with the noise. ये ऊपर जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं ना, okay, this is a zero level diagram. देखने की कोशिश करो. जीरो लेवल डायग्राम में इन्होंने क्या किया? नंबर 1. ओके, जीरो लेवल गाइस, आप सी गाइस, जीरो लेवल का मतलब क्या है पता है? जीरो लेवल का मतलब ये है, ओके, दिस इज 1.0, दिस इज 2.0, ओके, दिस इज 3.0, this is 4.0. All these are different processes. All these are different processes. Okay, ये सारे के सारे क्या है? All these are different processes. But they are 0.0. तो actually यहाँ पे इनको 0.0 लिखना चाहिए. This should be 2.0, 3.0, 1.0, 4.0 and so on. Okay, so suppose this is 1.0, ये 1.0 है. So establish grade book. Now अगर ये प्रोसेस एक्सपैंड होता है, then 1 का अगर एक्सपेंशन होता है, जीरो लेवल में अगर एक्सपेंशन होता है, then it will be 1.1, then it will be 1.2, then it will be 1.3, then it will be 1.4 and so on. Okay, so try to understand. Zero level diagram means you are starting to expand the main system. हमने जो मेन सिस्टम अभी थोड़ी देर पहले देखा था ना, क्या मेन सिस्टम? यहाँ पे ग्रेडिंग था. मेन सिस्टम, ग्रेडिंग सिस्टम वाज मेन. Okay, so this was a context level diagram. Similarly, now you are starting with the zero level diagram, यानी 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. फिर 1 का एक्सपेंशन होगा, अगर जरूरी है, then 1 will be expanded. 1 will be expanded. It will be 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Okay. So, yeah. So look over here. So grading system में क्या क्या हो सकता है? Grading system में first of all you need to establish the grade book. Okay, there should be a process in which you create the grade book. Apart from that, there should be a process in which you assign the final grade. Okay, apart from that, there should be a process to grade the student work. Okay, apart from that, there should be a process to produce the grade report. Okay, so all these are zero level diagram. Why? Because this is 1.0. So in grading system, all these are processes. This is a system, these are processes. Now these processes can have more sub processes. ओके देखो यहाँ पे, अब यहाँ पे इनका फिर से आउटपुट नहीं दिया है। ओके, बट ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड, इसका एक्सपेंशन हो सकता है। सो सपोज इफ यू कंसिडर पेमेंट अ प्रोसेस, नाउ पेमेंट अ प्रोसेस कैन बी expanded by first of all you need to go ahead with bank authentication, back authentication में से UPI authentication, and then a payment is being made. ओके, सो व्हाट आई विल डू इज दैट गाइस, जो टीवाई के जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनके जो फाइनल ईयर के जो प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, आई विल शो, आई मीन डीएफडी तो अब ज्यादा कोई यूज नहीं करता, मेरे पास अगर कुछ पुराने प्रोजेक्ट्स अगर पड़े हैं उसमें से आई विल फेच आउट दोज प्रोजेक्ट्स एंड आई विल ट्राई टू शो यू हाउ थिंग्स आर हैपनिंग ओवर देयर। ओके, तो इतना तो क्लियर करो, इतना तो क्लियर करो, वेन एवर यू आर ड्रॉइंग अ डीएफटी यू नीड टू गो हेड विथ 3 लेवल्स, आई मीन 3 और मोर लेवल्स, मगर पहले 2 लेवल्स तो पक्का है। स्टेप 1 कॉन्टेक्स्ट, स्टेप 2 ड्रॉ दी जीरो लेवल डायग्राम। जीरो लेवल डायग्राम का मतलब क्या है, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, और उसके बाद वी कैन गो हेड विथ लोअर लेवल्स। लोअर लेवल्स मीन्स एक्सपेंशंस। ओके, सो वन थिंग इतना फिक्स कर दो कि आज जाके आप लोग कॉन्टेक्स्ट देख लो और जीरो लेवल देख लो, एक बार अलग अलग एग्जाम्पल लो। हायर एग्जाम्पल्स हम लोग अपकमिंग सेशंस पे करेंगे। Okay, so we'll end up the session over here, guys. Okay, hope you guys are listening to the session properly. Okay, and hope so कि यूनिवर्सिटी ऐसा करे कि फिर से ऑफलाइन सेशन शुरू हो जाए and we can go ahead with the offline session. We are also, many people are asking me online, कि sir offline session कब से शुरू होंगे? We are not the person who are deciding. University is deciding. Your college comes under Gujarat University. University decides. So hope so jaldi university decide kare and better you get back to the campus and we start learning. All right. So we'll end up the session over here. Thank you so much.